What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to add a secondary external fuel pump into my EG hatchback. It's fairly simple process flow. Not much as far as what you need, but more so how you do it. So I'm going to walk you guys through that whole process. First off, you're going to need wiring for the fuel pump. I'll paste all the links down in the description. A external fuel pump, I went with the AEM 400 LPH because that's what I currently have on the car. And of course, all of the fittings and lines, E85 compatible lines, let's make that 100%, that you're going to need to run all of the plumbing and the fuel lines, as well as kind of a little mini diagram of what you're going to be doing. And I kind of did this before I ordered all the parts because I wanted to make sure that I had everything. So I'm going to get the car ready to essentially get started on this project. We're going to focus on the wiring first. I'm going to show you what you need to do, where things need to go, and then we can start on the fuel lines. So let's get to it. First thing that we need to do is run wiring, right? Fuel pump needs power, everything else. So Doucheworks has a external fuel pump wiring kit with relay and fuses. This can either go to a positive battery terminal or to your fuse box, which is where I had it before. So I'm just pretty much going to piggyback off of this existing connector. That way I just have one connection for both of these. Oh, always disconnect your battery before doing anything electrical on your car. I've had fuses blow, car doesn't start, all sorts of just random gremlins that have caused or happened because of my negligence while I was learning. Let's put these together and then we'll move on towards the back side of the car and we get that portion done. I'm gonna put some heat shrink over it just to make sure that everything is nice and good. I think this will work perfectly fine. So you can see I got some wire exposed here. I like crimping everywhere, even towards the back side of this, just in case. So you should be able to tug on this, nothing comes out. So now I'm gonna take my heat shrink. I'm just gonna kind of shove it over this. So you can see it's already a little tight, but tighter the better.
Nice.
Hit it with a little bit of fire and just let it shrink. Just like that. So now power is done. So this is the power. And like I said, this can either go to a battery terminal or to your fuse box. Don't mind the rat's nest down there. I have a project one of these days to actually go through and tear the whole car apart, but that's for another day. So this is done. And now let's move on to the fuel pump relay. So back here we have the remaining of the harness, as you guys can see. So this black wire, which they actually give you a pretty long length of it, will go all the way up towards the front of the car to the ECU. So what I'm going to do to save a little bit of time, since is ultimately the same signal, I'm going to patch right into this here for the relay, the fuel pump relay. And that's essentially the signal wire. So I'm going to take this heat shrink off and the tape, and I'm going to connect this one directly to this because it's essentially the same signal. I don't think there's going to be any issues with, I guess, the signal in general. It's more so just to tell it to turn on. So we've got the relay switch that goes straight to the ECU wired in. Now, like I said, I just bridge these two together. It's the same signal. The next step is we need to connect the power and the blue wire. I forget what that blue wire is on a relay. So I'm going to take this, and as I did on the other one, I'm going to put this one here and just put it together. And this is the constant power. Then the yellow is the power that's going to go to the fuel pump, and then I have a separate black wire that I'm using as a ground. So I'm going to go ahead and do this portion of it. So once again, like I said, the blue and the red wire would go together. Essentially, they just need power. The yellow is the power to the fuel pump. So after the relay gets the message from the ECU with this black wire, or this blue wire that I ran, that goes to the fuel pump relay, it then switches on power to here and then sends it to the fuel pump and then primes it and gets it all started. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna clean some of this wiring up. I had to make the hole a little bit bigger. I did a little boo-boo and made it a little too big, so I'm thinking about using some leftover AN line to kind of shroud that through, but you know, should be all right. All right guys, so as mentioned, I got this, the blue and the red together. I also kind of ran the wires a little bit, and I also took a little bit of AN line, 10 AN line that I had left over, and kind of used that to route everything through the hole so the wires don't get cut up. And I connected the ground, which I made another ground, fairly simple. So now it's time to run a power wire. Got some red wire over there, solder this together and run it through the hole and essentially figure out how long I need it. Now that I got the wiring all done, I'm going to mount the fuel pump. So you have a power and a ground, and then a 6 AN out, and then it has a 10 AN input, and that's essentially where your fuel cell is going to feed into the 10 AN. For this, just so you guys know, you are going to need a -10 AN ORB fitting, and an ORB fitting just means that it has an O-ring on it. And this is essentially what it is. As you can see, there is an O-ring right there, and you just put a little bit of WD-40 on that and screw it into the fuel pump, same way that I did here. Tighten it up nice and snug. What I need to do next is take the bumper off, drill a hole, add a line, and then I'll create the line and show you guys how I do that process. It is getting a little bit late here, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just call it a day or call it a night and get started tomorrow after work. What's up guys, it's the next day and it's time to put the fuel pump and then start working on the AN lines right here. So right here I have essentially what you're going to need. 10 AN ORB fittings, and you can see there is an O-ring there. So you need one. I had two because they had a 2-pack. Some type of adjustable wrench of sorts. WD-40 for lubricant, and then of course your fuel pump. So you're gonna wanna put a little bit of WD-40 on the O-ring here. Not too much. Just enough to get you some type of lubrication. And then just screw it on there. And then we're gonna go ahead and just tighten it as much as possible. Very carefully, you don't want to scratch anything, you know, you want to make sure everything looks nice, so just kind of tighten it as much as you can there. Doesn't seem like I tightened much, but it did, so just kind of lay it down and yep, it's not going anywhere. That's not going to go anywhere. Grab the supplied 6 AN ORB to 8 AN, and it does have a check valve. Same thing, a little bit of WD-40 to lubricate the O-ring. And then just screw it right in by hand. Just keep tightening until you can't tighten anymore. Next steps is to grab, don't need the box, our first fitting. So this goes straight onto the fuel cell, and then hose comes out, goes out, and then onto this side of the fuel pump. Vibrant fitting, nice, clean. First thing is, of course, take it apart. WD-40, all of this. So you're also gonna put a little bit of WD-40 in here, just to kind of lubricate the hole.
Nice.
And then you're gonna take this end, and this end is gonna go in like so. Push it in there as much as you can. And it's kind of hard to see because it's all black, but you're gonna see that the hose is going to meet the threads. This piece is gonna go inside, and then you're gonna thread it in there. Now, to get it in there initially, it's gonna be very tough, so you're gonna kind of wanna shove it in there as much as you can, and kind of push and twist until you grab one of the threads. And then you're gonna wanna put it on a vise. And then on the vise, essentially keep tightening it. One thing I recommend is if you don't have that aluminum kit that you can buy with these, you can either put tape around this and then use microfiber towel and then do the same when you're tightening it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab a microfiber towel and some blue tape. Just put it around here just to protect it so it doesn't get too scratched up. So I have some blue tape there and then microfiber towel on the outside of that. And then we're just gonna continue to tighten this down. It's just patience. If you want to get it done nicely, just be very patient doing this. I'm not one to be very patient with doing stuff, so this is always a test for me. All right, guys, so pretty straightforward. As you can tell, there might be a couple little scratches there and here and there, but I mean, it's expected. And sometimes you get the vise will then cut through and then scratch your fitting, so you don't want that. So that's why I do tape and microfiber towel. So let me inspect this, make sure everything is good, and then we can move on to putting it on the car. I made a hole here to go into the fuel cell, and I have the fitting that we just made. Now, I'm pulling on it, it's not going anywhere, so we're good. I mounted the fuel pump and also put on the 90-degree fitting to figure out where we need to put the line. So kind of want it somewhere around there so it's nice and tight, and then I can just zip tie it to that and have somewhat of a clean fuel line. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape it, unmount it, and then show you guys how I cut it. All right, so as you can see, I taped the whole way across, and that's just, I don't know, I feel like it tends to not let those metal frays get out, because this is lined with metal. But I'm gonna use the Sawzall method. Pretty straightforward, just go down as straight as possible, put a little bit of pressure on it. I don't have anyone else to help me, so I'm holding the line with a vice grip and then kind of just have at it, so. Now, you want to clean this out with brake clean or something, because you don't want all that stuff in your fuel line. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and burn this really quick, get this frays off, and then go ahead and install our fitting. So I burned the excess. There's very little fraying, actually. I think it's actually a pretty straight and clean cut for, you know, one-handed while trying to maneuver everything. And I'm pretty proud with that. So let me get some brake clean in here, clean this out. That's what I was talking about. You see that stuff right there? That came out of the line, so you want to make sure you don't have any of that. All right, so we got this cleaned. We have our new fitting, our 90-degree fitting, and this does swivel, so that's always good. Same process as I showed you earlier. Put tape on this here and then mount it to your vise with a microfiber to make sure you don't get too many scratches. You might get a little bit of minimal scratches. So I'm gonna do that off camera. All right, guys, so I just finished making all the lines that were left, at least the 8 AN lines, based on this diagram that I have here. We already did the 10 AN. Now we needed to do the 2 8 AN into this 3-way Y, which is this piece right here. And then I had to also modify the existing fuel line, the existing feed line, because it was going to be too long. Of course, adding all of this line in there was going to make it, you know, that existing line a little too long. This is how much I had to trim it. So a good amount, about 2.5 feet. And that's essentially it. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward process. It's just a matter of getting underneath the car, figuring out what you need. I always recommend looking at it, kind of coming up and visualizing with where you're gonna route these lines, and create a diagram. That way you know what you need to do and how you're gonna run these lines. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this all on the car, and then run battery power, connect the battery and everything, make sure everything is getting power, and try to cycle the fuel pump and see if the fuel pump clicks based on the relay signal coming from the ECU. So hopefully, fingers crossed, all of this works. All right, guys, so the car's pretty much done. I put all the body panels back on, the rear bumper and everything else. It's pretty much just like that diagram that I showed you guys, but at least you guys know how to now install an external fuel pump on your car. If it's going to be something that you want a turbo and you want to do an inline and you have a fuel cell, or if you want to do add a sump pump to your a sump to your existing fuel tank, you can do that too. But this is just pretty much the easy way of how to do it. I'm going to post all of the links to what I used to put this together, as well as some tools that I should have gotten, which I'm probably going to order just to make the whole process a little bit easier. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for the next video. Don't know when that may be. I just took the car around for a little drive, make sure everything is good, nothing's leaking, so we're good on that part. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the content, and I'll catch you guys next time. Like, comment, subscribe. You guys know the deal. I'm out.